Hello, New Life staff. Just wanted to welcome you to this Resources Planning Center training. And so this is just kind of the first overview of the interface we're going to use for resources. And resources is basically just a way for us to keep in good communication with one another and get information we need for various events that happen here at New Life that use our facilities. Okay? And this is going to be able to help us see things in lots of different ways, whether we want a big overview of things, kind of to see a whole month at a time, or we want very specifics about a certain event and a certain day. Okay? And so let's start out right here with the calendar. This is probably where you're going to spend most of your time, this feature right here. It's a great way to get information, and it's super flexible and how you can access data. And this is basically right here is going to reflect whatever is in this pane right here. So if you notice here, I have events, and it has all of my folders going down here. And then inside the folders are other folders. So inside the adult ministries folder, we have 20s and 30s, college, young adults, men. And then if you go down further, this will show you the events in there. So this particular thing has a college group main meeting and Passion of the Christ movie night. And then you're going to use this flag right here to navigate yourself back. And so what happens here is whatever shows up here will give you information on the calendar. So I have everything here. Everything here will show up on the calendar here. Now, you'll notice right here that some of these days have a darker red than others. And that basically means that there are more events happening on that specific day than on other days. So if we click here, like on the 24th of March, you'll notice there's no color there at all. So right here it shows there's no reservation blocks, which are basically events. But here on this Saturday, it's pretty dark, so we have multiple things going on here. And this is just all the kind of different things and the rooms that are being used. Now, I want you to notice that when you hover over each of these reservation blocks, a dialog pops up on the side to give you more information about that. So like the CR monthly promotion table right here, it's in the back hallway and it uses a 6-foot table, and the time for it is 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. Same thing with this, the weekend services, and this is obviously going to be more rooms and resources because we use a lot more stuff. So we've got all this stuff and the resources, which just a big list of things that we use, video recording, childcare, portable TV, all that stuff. And here's the event schedule itself that's kind of listed out here. Okay? So that's how that works. And what goes on here is that whatever day you click in the calendar here, let's click March 15th, then the reservation blocks for that day are going to show up down here. And you'll notice on Wednesday we have a lot because we have CBS and Awana and junior high and all that kind of stuff going on. So we have several reservation blocks that pop up here. Okay, so that's what's going to pop up. You can also click View Large Calendar, and this is going to give you kind of a month at a time and all the events that go on during that month, specific for each day. And if you click on that event or the day, it'll show you the events with a little bit more information right there. If you want to get more information, like let's say you want to know more about the Awana games, you click on that, and that's going to give you even more information right here. This is all the details for the reservation block and for the different dates. And if you want to get even more information on that, you'll click here on anywhere in this line to get information about this reservation block. And then we have more specifics like main auditorium and sound. Now, if you wanted more information about the sound, you click on the question mark, and then this goes to the dialogue that whoever created this event filled out that has specific questions we ask them. Is there a live band? Are you using Planning Center? How many mics do you need? All that kind of stuff. So if you need to get down to that specific information, then you can. And then we're going to go ahead and cancel that. Now, to get back, again, you can either use this flag that will go kind of back up the stream, or you can just click on the Events tab and it goes and shows you all of the events. Okay, Now, one of the other useful features of this is that you can share the calendar. So if you want to share the information that's on this calendar, then you click Share this calendar, and it will give you a link for an iCal feed, or you can send it to a Google Calendar. So I wanted to talk really quick about this include hidden times. Now, when somebody sets up an event, they basically set it up from the very beginning where you start setting things up to the event itself to the cleanup time. They need to reserve that entire time in their reservation block. But when they set that up, they have checked only for the actual event time to show up in this calendar, okay? And so if you leave that as it is and you create your calendar, you're only going to get the actual event time. If for some reason you wanted to know the rest of the schedule, like the setup and the cleanup and all that type of stuff, you'd click this box, and that would show up on an iCal feed or a Google Calendar feed. But for the most part, that information can be accessed from this resources page, so we'll leave that unclicked. All right, so right now I'm going to close this down. Now, another thing about sharing the calendar is, let's say you wanted a specific calendar just for your ministry. If you were in outreach, maybe you would click your outreach calendar. Now we have Celebrate Recovery, the community ministry, food pantry, homeless ministry, missions, and this kind of extra outreach prayer time. So now everything on this calendar will reflect these only. And if you click Share this calendar, then you can create a calendar just for New Life Christian Center outreach. And you can send it to your iCal feed and your Google Calendar feed. And you can even go down even further. If you just wanted Celebrate Recovery and their specific dates, then you could do the same thing and click Share this calendar, and you would have one that was just for Celebrate Recovery. New Life Christian Center, Celebrate Recovery. Okay, so that is a super useful way to link this calendar with your other computer and devices by sharing the calendar. Now I'm going to go back up to the main events. One of the other things that is very useful on this main page is run a report. So let's say that you wanted to run a report for a specific day to know the information that's going on. So let's say that is this Monday right here. And we're going to click Run a Report. And then, so you have some options here. You can run a basic report by the date or by an event or by owner or just all this, or room or resource usage report, any of that stuff. So let's just do a basic report by date. And again, let me choose this 27th. Now, you could do multiple days if you'd like. If you click another day after that, it's going to do all of those days. But we just want to do one day. So I click that, and then we want to select, we'll make it a PDF document. And then if you want to know the room setups, then you can click this right here. And that's going to attach a PDF file of the room setups that we uploaded. So let's click Run the Report and look at what we get. Okay. I think this is going to open in another window. So here's my report, and let me just resize this really quick. Oh boy. All right, so now we have the report, and this shows us the event schedule, and it shows us the rooms that are being used. And if we scroll down, this will show us also the resources. Whoops, let me just close that. Anyway, my suggestion for that is to try that report function out, and you'll be able to get tons of information that way. Have it in a PDF format that you can print off, or you can just look at it on your mobile device. And now, speaking of mobile devices, I did want to mention that Resources comes as an app for the iPhone. and the iPad. And the iPad app is actually very much like this interface. It's almost identical, and you can do exactly the same things. The iPhone interface is a little more limited. You can't do as many things, but it still works in a similar way. And so far, I think there isn't an app for this for Android phones, but you can browse this whole thing in their web browser, and I think there's a mobile version of it in their website, so that it works actually really well on Android phones, and you can get to all this kind of stuff. And if you'd like, you can create a shortcut of this and put it on your desktop so you can get to it quickly. So that is kind of the mobile device type of setting. And the other nice thing about having the app specifically, for iPhone and iPad is that when you get emails and information from this, it will show up on that app, and then you can just respond to it from the app quickly, and you'll have that with you all the time. All right. So now we're going to move over to the next tab here, which is our rooms and resources. Oh, before I do that, I did want to mention one thing. So let's go down to, we'll go back to outreach. No, actually, let's do weekend services. Okay. And then let me open up this weekend service event. So right there, this will, again, give you information. Down at the bottom here, there is kind of a communication log that happens here. And so as you could see, it shows that Tito has approved this request for these different things. And then if I had a question for Tito about something that with regard to this, I could actually add it to this thing. Tito, can we have extra chairs in the hallway? And then if I add that comment, it's going to send him that email. And then also it'll keep track of the log right here so that you'll know the communication that has happened for this particular thing. And that way we're not scratching our head wondering if we asked about certain things. It's all right there in that dialogue. Now, sometimes there might be a lot of things going on with something, and you might get a lot of communication, particularly if it's a big event. And if you type something in here, everyone in the whole who's involved with this whole thing will get that text. Now, let's say that it's just kind of going on and you're not really involved in the conversation. You can actually click mute, and it will mute that activity for you so that you don't have to get all that communication. And that's a super useful tool to help us just communicate well. All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next section, which is the rooms. When you click on the rooms tab, the calendar now reflects what's happening in your rooms. So, for instance, anything that's happening in my main building, my outside building, and my outside space, any event that includes those rooms will appear here on the calendar. So in the same way that we can kind of go through our data and narrow it down, we could do that here. So if I just wanted to know the outside spaces, what was going on in outside spaces, I can click that. And these are the spaces for outside. And that'll be reflected here in the events. So let's say, for instance, let me click the 29th of March. So the Community Bible Study is using the outdoor space right here. It shows it in the rooms. You can see right here, north side of the quad. And then the junior high services uses the north side of the quad. And junior high midweek service uses the south side of the quad. So that is reflected right there. All of these spaces are reflected right there. So this is a quick way if you wanted to know if a room was available on a certain date to click that. So let's say that we wanted to know if the patio was available on certain dates. So we just click patio, and this is just going to show me all of the reservation blocks that include the patio. And so you'll notice now we have a lot of free space. There's none here, none here. But if you go here to the 25th, we can see that it's included in the normal weekend service. We have the patio right there as one of our rooms that we use, where we have people sitting outside for coffee. Okay, so that's a way to use this in a similar way, your calendars in a similar way. And again, if you wanted to for some reason, create a calendar that just showed you when, I don't know, the north side of the quad was being used, you could by sharing this calendar. Probably not something you do, but you could. And the same thing happens on the next tab, which is the resources. So let's say that you are someone in our graphics art department. Let's just click on graphic arts. And you want to know when certain graphics are due. So you would come here and the calendar would show you. Now, right now, we haven't started using this for graphic arts, so nothing is showing up, which makes sense. But if these graphic arts resources were being assigned to specific events, they would show up right here, and you would know when the event was that it was related to, and you can have that information. And again, you can share this calendar and create a calendar just for your graphics art resources. And let me give you another example. Let's see the childcare right here. We're going to click on childcare. And so childcare is a resource that has been included in several events, as you can see. So let's click on this Wednesday right here. And we see that childcare is being used during the reservation block for Awana. So you can scroll down and you see right there, childcare is being used. So this would be great too, because now you know you can create a calendar just for your childcare people, and they'll know all the times when childcare is going to be happening. Okay? That's how that's used. Now the next tab here is people, and it's probably not something you're really going to use. This is more for the administrators to add people and to change permissions for people and do approval groups and things like that. But probably not really something that you're gonna generally use in your time using this. So let me go back to the events here. One of the other super useful features for this is the question mark, which is the help. And this is the first place you want to go if you have a question. This has been super helpful for me. So let's click on that. Right. So a lot of times you can just ask a question and it'll look it up. Or you can just browse the documentation, which is often useful. They often have videos to show you how to do things. And so if you scroll down here, they'll show you multiple things. They have introduction to resources, core concepts, resources on your phone and your tablet, rooms, suggested resources, just all kinds of adding people, events, and all that type of stuff, doing custom reports. And so that's kind of the first place you want to go. And then the second place would probably be if you had someone at the staff could probably answer your question, someone who was good at it, maybe like Sandy or John or myself, Eli, we might be able to help you. And then the last, kind of one of the last things you can do is to actually just ask the people from Planning Center, which if you click submit a request, then you can type in your request and your information and your problem. They usually get back to you within an hour, and they're really good with that. So that is a fantastic feature here that's always been super useful for me. Let me close that tab and close that tab. Okay, so let me just kind of review this really quick. To get information, you're going to use the calendars here, and you're going to use the events, and you can decide how much or how little information, how specific information you want. Again, the calendar will always reflect what you have in this pane right here. So if you want all of our events and all the information about our events reflected in your calendar, click events and it'll show that. If you want to just dig down into a specific one, like maybe family ministries, maybe just the youth. Now we have high school and junior high is the only thing that shows up here in the information there. And you hover over this and you can get more information. If you want to go deeper and get even more information, then you click on the actual event and it shows up. And then even more information, click on the reservation block and it comes up there. And even more information, you can click on the question mark and read the questions that were asked and the answers for that. And I just wanted to mention just one other thing. So they have a coloring system here. You'll notice a lot of these little dots are green. Green means go. That means you have approval, 100% approval from everything. Now, if I go back to the events here, some of them will not be green. They might be yellow. So let me go to the large calendar, and then let's look through here. Well, these are all approved. Let's look and see if we have something that's not approved. Right here, we have this in yellow. That means that it's not completely approved yet. We have a couple here. So let's go ahead and click this, and then this is going to show us right here. It's in yellow again. I'm going to click this, and 83% approved. There's something that's not being approved yet, and in order to find out what that is, you simply just click in this space here. And then you'll notice here this is in yellow. So the only thing holding this up is that one of the lead team members, Pastor Jim, hasn't seen this yet to give approval. But as soon as he does, he'll click approval, and then they'll have 100% approval. So that's how that works. So I think this is going to be a super useful tool for our church and for our staff so that we have good communication and everyone has access to that communication easily and in multiple formats. So go ahead and jump in, navigate this site, and look at all the different types of information. And whenever you have a question about the things that are going on and when they're happening and what's being used, go to this first, go to resources first before you ask anyone, because it'll probably answer your questions. All right, thanks so much. Jump in and let's do ministry together.